Alright fellas, the question I see all the time remains unanswered. What is the best army possible in Bannerlord? Is it a horde of cons guards, swarming with hit-and-run tactics, or a mix of Fian Champs and Imperial Elite Cataphract, sweeping everything in front of them aside? Is it masses of elite palace guards and Valandian sharpshooters, or some kind of mix of the best troops in the game? In this series, we'll look to explore and answer that question, as I put my 10,000 hours of Bannerlord to the test with 400 elite mixed units comprised of what I consider the best possible 400-man army in the game. We'll take on a variety of different challenges and, amplified by mods, enormous legions of the enemy to try and demonstrate the awesome power of the perfect Bannerlord army. Down here, we've definitely got the siege at Husson Folk, and they just took Vostrum, so Northern Empire is probably in the vicinity as well. And look at this. Lots of Khazate here. A perfect size battle here for our 400 series and for another epic siege Saturday. We've got about 450 troops. We'll lose a lot of that though when we enter the city here. So this is a perfect opportunity to start an episode. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Welcome back again to Epic Siege and our perfect Bannerlord Army series, where we continue to explore the map and different tactical opportunities for this juggernaut of an army. This has been a fun series for me. Epic Siege is very popular on the channel, so just like a restaurant that sells out of its best plate, we're going to keep serving it up. It looks like about 5,000 Khazate here. Just as an added wrinkle, we are using the reinforcement mod, right? So any other forces nearby are free to join the battle here, or more accurately, we hope, free to join the slaughter. We've got all these nasty companions and sons and cousins of the main character, Hugh the Hammer. Of course, this is a side shoot of our main Asteroid campaign, the son of Wazoo. Wazoo-Ban lives on in this side series, and what an army he has, right? Stacked with elite units of what I think, after a lot of time playing Bannerlord, is the best army in the game. Ortesia, okay, that's on the other side of the map. Let's sneak into the city here. Okay, this guy, I don't think he'll join. Usually you can't join in a battle when they're reinforcement mod if they're already doing something, sieging, attacking. If they're running around, though, they readily join. So we'll see. We may get some additional, not like we need additional enemies here, but we may get some that join later on. 5,200 Khazate here at Husson Folk. Make sure we have 3 bags of javelins here. We don't need a long pole arm. That'll just hit the walls, get in our way. So another large bag of javelins. How beautiful is that? A couple custom sets. A nice melee taken damage reduction banner. If you wonder how this character is so survivable, that's how. He has basically, I don't know if you can get a lower damage setup in the whole game, right? Maybe a couple different perks that we don't have, but a 15% less melee damage. And we're on Bannerlord difficulty, but with his athleticism, his armor, that banner, it doesn't really matter, right? He survives virtually every battle. All right, let's see here. This is one of the more interesting Aserai cities here. Of course, I'm familiar with this, as I'm familiar with most of the cities and castles in the game. We do a whole series covering those, so if you're having a hard time with the city, more than likely we've got a recipe that'll help you win. This is still uncertain. One of the difficult parts about Husson Folk is that the enemy tends to bunch up at the gate in City Siege, and the gate here is not going to be easy to defend. So I'm going to make what I call an attack dog division led by Hugh the Hammer, and there's his perk list, right? You don't get a better perk list than that. It's basically the whole fucking screen. And I'm also going to stick a whole bunch of elite archers in a division. I'd like to get this inner right wall here, or excuse me, inner left wall here, I think is usable. We could put some really good archers in the 2nd and 5th division and basically use some of these banners to reduce damage. Here's a perfect division. Decrease taken ranged attack damage, so you get archers on here. They've got a little bit of protection. Unless they're getting shot up real bad, I think that's going to be a positive net outcome for us. I mean, it really is. You got to think of it like a chess game. If you can take a bishop for a pawn, you'll do it. And move some of our elite companion archers. You can see most of them have 200 plus bow skill. Some of them have 300 bow skill, and that is because they are the son the original character of this campaign. If you want to check out the Asteroid campaign and learn how we did that, we have a full playthrough on the channel. I poured a lot of work into it. There's a whole bunch of cutscenes, sort of things to get your juices flowing, and I think you will love it. Wazuban, the guy that doesn't know about gravity. All right, so let's see. We're going to try to defend this right side. A lot of times I don't, but I do want to try to take advantage of the fact that we have so many archers, so many crossbow here, and frankly, so many troops. We do have the battle size mod running, so 2,000 units on the battlefield, and it looks like we have about 700, a little bit short of 700 troops on the battlefield. All right, so we're outnumbered about 2 to 1 on the field, which is probably a little bit an advantage. Some guys say that's an advantage, isn't it? Probably, right? Because normally in Siege, in this situation, you'd be outnumbered almost 3 to 1. Let's see how this looks here with the 4th Corps. It's a mix of different troops, and I want crossbow in here. Why? Not only do they do good damage up close, but I also want to be able to reliably steal from this division and add it to a square. If you're using our defense mechanisms, our defense tactics on the channel, you need to have the ability to reinforce squares whenever they start to break down, right? They get pounded on by the enemy. Inevitably, you're going to have to add guys to that square. Even the 1st Division with 59 guys, and look at that, right? It's so thick full of crossbow now that they're standing inside the little alcoves here. Beautiful. Now we're going to put an infantry division at the top here, and I'm probably going to fiddle with this once the battle starts. The 3rd Corps here is basically going to be in a square. I might shield wall it and put it on the stairs. It's going to kind of depend on the flow of the battle. Very important to have a game plan at the beginning, and then have the ability to micromanage based on events, right? If things start to change on you, if the enemy approach starts to change, you need to change, right? You need to be flexible. Down here, let's put a gigantic wad of the 8th Corps. These are some of our best troops. Of course, that's redundant. The whole army is some of our best troops. There's some companions in there. They can buttress that left side well. And I'm going to do something unusual here that I've done before, but you may never have seen something like this before. We're going to essentially drag these guys into a curve where I think it'll work out pretty well. And then we'll put the 5th Division, like I said, right here. Now, the 5th Division is going to have trouble because the enemy's probably going to be coming up this left side. I didn't talk about that before. I think they only have 1 siege tower. I see it off there towards the right. We'll try to destroy that, of course, but this right side, or this left side, that means they do have ladders, right? So those guys, fortunately, all of our archers can fight. They will have some ability to resist the enemy. 1st Division in a little shield wall here, and you offset it, right? So that division that's to the left can shoot the guys in the back while they're attacking this shield wall. If the enemy surges past the shield wall, you charge. Finally, we got the 6th. Frankly, they're extra. I don't even know what to do with these guys right now. I can put them here, but they're going to be really bunched up. I think what we'll do, that's not terrible. I think they're going to really get shot, though, from the front there. Not thrilled about how vulnerable they are to the outside. I think what we can do with these guys here is put them in an alleyway behind the square near the gate, and I think that'll provide the most overall firepower. I mean, unless something else, sometimes you just try stuff, right? You spread and line formation, try different things, and if it looks good, keep it. But I think we can support that 1st Division right here, put these guys here, and you can see what they're going to do. If we shove that square over, that shield wall at the gate over a little bit, these guys will also be able to shoot, right? So that's 2 different angles we can pound the enemy. You can ignore the 7th Division that's clogging up here. There, I'm going to move them after battle starts, and I'll show you that shortly. And try to trudge our way through all the troops. Out of the way, serfs. Out of the way, fellas. Out of the way. Don't make me... Come on, he yells. And that's pretty much what I'm saying to this 7th Division, right? Come on, dudes. Come over this way. I'm going to show you guys where I want you to shoot. Shoot the enemy. You know, Bannerlord, certainly. The interface could be better when it comes to lining up your troops, but I want to give you guys the tools you need to succeed, right? We've got this circular, beautiful upper ramparts here that's highly protected from archers. Protects the whole valley. It protects the other side. And you can't put archers on it because it's curved, right? There's no curved formation in the game, except maybe the skein, and it doesn't work very well. So you put these guys in line formation, say, follow me, or point to the furthest you want them to be. In other words, those spots that I pushed them, that's the furthest I want any of them standing. Take a look here. This looks good. Most of the archers are shooting, and I don't hear them getting shot at, right? That's a critical distinction. Now let's go look at this line. They should be just about where I want them to be. And then you just tell them to stop. F1, F6, look at that. It's almost perfect. Almost every single guy has beautiful line of sight. Cons guards and Fian Champs just lighting up that whole courtyard. That's going to work beautifully. We probably have a few too many archers, and that's because open field battles, it's better to have more archers. But, and we park our car here. Stay there, boy. It never fucking stays there. Just like my car, once you start getting older, fellas, you're going to lose your car in parking lots. It's a sobering reminder that your brain is dying. You young guys are like, come on, man, what the fuck? I play video games to escape the horrific shit of life. You guys are all dying soon. No, I digress. We get older, right? And these things are inevitable, right? I've dealt with some health issues of late, even though I'm a really healthy 50-year-old. And I'm getting stuck here. Look at my arms are stretching. He's trying to hold on. It's not a perfect setup here. In fact, if I remember right, this catapult can't hit shit. We're going to try to destroy that siege tower as my arms are stretching again. And I don't know if I can hit it from here. Okay, we just winged it. 2 or 3 more of those shots and that thing will be down. And then we'll be in good shape here for this siege. Now, I don't mind if it arrives, truthfully. That's because we like the difficulty on the channel, right? 5,000 troops, frankly. A lot of you guys have seen us win sieges of twice that, right? So it's never a given. We've lost sieges of less than 5,000. So it's never a given, but of course, if it's more difficult, makes it more entertaining for you guys, right? You guys know we're facing brutal challenges. Now, I can't seem to move it anymore, and we can't hit him. My arms are stretched out like as long as this guy can reach for some reason. So I don't think we're going to be able to really make this work. We might be able to shellac these troops here. Now this guy can't reach it. It's not a very good catapult setup. A lot of them are almost hit it. A lot of them are you know, pretty usable. This one's not. At least I didn't get smoked there for half my health. And we've got a beautiful line of sight for our archers. And I hear a guy here and there grunting, as they get shot by an arrow. I'm sure they would do more than that in real life. Unless you were wearing incredible armor, which I guess theoretically, that's what we got going on here. They're grunting as they get hit by arrows. But I don't see guys laying all over the place, right? We're not taking a torrent of arrow fire, and that's because they have a good angle. They've got a little bit of protection. And of course, let's not forget, Hugh the Hammer has the maximum medicine skill. So that's really why this is the perfect Bannerlord army. You cannot have the perfect Bannerlord army without 330 medicine skill. It's probably the singular most overpowered perk in the game. And he has the other one too, right? The 250 plus throwing, where it just obliterates troops. It also helps this, right? I can lob these fireballs way out into the enemy ranks. And it's immolation time, right? I've got a big pile of them here. These guys are getting smoked, trying to run the siege. You just got mangled by arrows. You know, our troops aren't invulnerable, but remember that medicine skill plays a big role into these sieges. If you try a similar siege and lose, understand that my main character is almost a god of Bannerlord, right? He's level 49 or 51 or something like that. 330 medicine skill, 330 athleticism. In my opinion, anyways, he's a perfect build, but of course that's necessary. I can't tell you guys a perfect Bannerlord army and we've got some level 12 scrub leading it, right? It's got to be all around perfect. Now that's probably a waste of time. Let's see what we can do here with a little bit bigger gauge here, right? Chuck this right into the back ranks. Should hit mostly the enemy. Kind of winged it, we kind of scalded a few of our guys, but it did mostly damage to the enemy there. And I think, you know, a situation like this, it's like, let's get dirty. I got a full health bar. Guys are getting launched all over the place, and let's tear into these bitches here, right? Just clobber these guys. This guy's lethal fast hammer, and let's just smash our way to victory here. Or get smashed. You still get killed, right? You still got to be careful, but you see a legionary, he's clubbing at me, and he's done barely any damage. Although I better just shut my mouth here before I get dropped. God, look at this stubborn fucker. I fucking hate fighting legionary. They block everything. Now, I mentioned this earlier. The archers were going to be sort of vulnerable here, but I want this because all the rest of the archers, even though these guys are fighting for their lives, the 60 or whatever, 80 archers that we got on the walls, the other 50 or so are just raking the enemy at the gate, right? They have great broadside shots, and we have enough troops that if we lose 10 or 15 there to combat, it's okay. And fortunately, of course, our archers are elite warriors, right? Because not only do they have not only are they the best archers, cons guards and sergeant crossbow, but they also have 330 medicine skill. I'll leave that point alone, but I wanted to emphasize that one more time. For practical sake, just to finish that point. If you don't know what that means, if you're a newer player, once you get to 330 medicine skill, your troops almost have double the normal hit points. Double. So you're talking, it's not one Khan's Guard, we have 2. It's extraordinarily overpowered. And again, I was mentioning it before, of course, see, it's not just my brain, my fucking horse just left, right? We parked it over here and the motherfucker just took off. They never stay where you can put them surrounded by shit and they still somehow escape. They're worse than a dog. Motherfucker. But it won't surprise me at all if that medicine skill in the future here gets nerfed. Now I'm doing this just to clamp down the gate. I hear tons of yelling and screaming. I've played so much Bannerlord I can actually tell by the sounds without seeing the gate that things were under duress, right? If there's a ton of enemies, there starts to make different sounds than if there's 6 or 12 or 20. Not only can you hear all their weapon sounds clashing on shields, but you can hear their footsteps as they go berserk on your troops. Between that and the death spam, as a commander, it's almost like I have radar, right? I can dial up my sat phone and ask them how they're doing. And they're like, oh, we're getting our ass kicked here at the gate, man. Come bring your hammer and some more troops. Now, this looks pretty good, but this square is a little vulnerable. These guys, especially here at the back, it's almost like plaque developing on your teeth. You gotta go see a specialist for that shit. And in this case, I'm just gonna drag these guys in a shield wall a little bit towards this direction. What you want is your archers protecting your square. Of course, that's elementary to most of you fellas on the channel, but for the newer guys, if you're trying to emulate this, you want that square to have tons of crossbow and archers shooting the shit out of anything that gets close to it. Because if you don't have that support, that square will die pretty quick. The square itself, if you don't know the mechanics of it, it emphasizes defense for your troops. And what that basically looks like is the majority of the troops will not attack. Even if there's an enemy right next to them, they will hold their shield up. Now, occasionally they'll sort of swing a mace or a sword, or if it's a Fian Champ, they'll try to parry mostly and then swing their weapon. But basically, it tilts them towards defense. Now hold that thought. I accidentally let these guys charge out the gate, and they're actually outside the city. So I got to fix this shit first. These are some of our best troops here at the gate. Can't let these guys take serious losses, and they are taking serious losses. Fuck. All right, let's pull these guys back in the gate. The 2nd Division is here to assist us. We've got that Archer Division behind us. We got to use them, right? All right, so I think we're okay in here now. To finish that point as we pound the guys into submission here at the gate. A guy in a shield wall maybe swings at the enemy half the time. In other words, he's mostly defensive, but he attacks occasionally. A guy in a line formation very readily attacks, right? And of course, if you charge with either of those formations, they will go crazy. They will ignore defense and just try to kill everything in sight. Now, if a guy's in a square, they really play defense as their priority. And that means that a square is really good defense, but needs help. It either needs shock troops attacking the units that are attacking it, or archers, right? That's the better answer. There's no friendly fire in Bannerlord, at least not vanilla Bannerlord, and that means your archers can have a heyday protecting your infantry, right? And that's the symbiosis. Your square protects the archers, doesn't let the enemy get to them, or at least if you set it up well, and then of course your archers protect your square. I got you, you got me. We're all one big murdering happy family. See, we can rhyme and kill at the same time here. Sometimes don't worry, sometimes I cringe at my own narration. All right, this looks pretty good. It's still very bloody, but this is normal. I mentioned this at the beginning of this battle. This city has a very difficult front gate. And here we go, all you guys who've had one of your own experiences for you. I killed your insane ex-wife for you. If you're wondering where that's from, that is from one of our side campaigns, a peasant revolt, where we used the My Little Warband mod. If you've never heard of that mod, it's really cool. You can make your own units, right down to the clothing they wear and the names of them, right? So we had the theme of the revolt, of course, was a peasant's revolt. So we had angry housewives and shit like that. The kind of women that went to the Tuileries and abducted Louis XVI. Come with us. Bread is too expensive, you punk-ass king. Get over here, right? En français, si vous préférez. Right? The great and also terrible French Revolution. I say great and terrible because great things came out of it long-term for society, but the actual revolution was ghastly. I mean, innocent people were beheaded left and right, and France entered a state of relative anarchy for multiple years. People were starving. There was all kinds of essentially judicial murder, right? They were guillotining people left and right. In fact, that's really where the guillotine started. You fucker, killed one of our troops. We're going to guillotine that guy. If you don't know, the guillotine is actually named after a French guy who was repulsed by normal executions. He said, hey, instead of swinging the axe 4 times, while this bedraggled, half-alive person just gets horrific pain in front of thousands of people, why don't we devise a device that's instant and kills them every time with a perfect blow? That was the idea. It does work. The science on it is uncertain. There's plenty of evidence of people surviving a guillotine blow. And I don't mean like walking away. I mean like they picked their head up and the head would show signs of pain or disgust or like they were revolted and insulted. And there's scientific evidence to suggest that your head survives for a couple 4 seconds after it's beheaded, right? I know this is horrific shit, but you're watching a fucking war game, so you can't complain too much. And if you're letting your kids watch, don't, right? Unless they're like 16, then they're not really kids anymore, right? 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds should not be watching this fucking channel, right? We're going to use the F-bomb. Once in a very blue moon, we'll say, these fucking cunts, right? You don't want your kids watching this shit, right? The channel is devoid of horrific, crass shit. We're not going to be saying racist or things that would really get the attention of the wrong people. But if I let out an occasional F-bomb, you're going to have to forgive me. I do try to mind my swearing, but sometimes it just flows out, right? A career in the military and fire service has given me an abundantly wide vocabulary. And sometimes we'll vituperate, right? We will use some words you've never heard before, right? These supercilious, dyspeptic, I'll come up with some other words here, but basically, I'm one of those guys who swears a lot, but has a 50,000 word vocabulary, right? I do my reading. I just find swearing and the emphasis behind it essential for a game like Bannerlord, right? When things are going bad, or the enemy's attacking you, dang, you mean guys. No, it's you assholes, right? It just feels so much better. You pieces of shit, to yell it out loud. I'm going to be doing that, so. All right, so that's doing okay there. We still have a health bar, and this left side is ironclad. I feel no concerns at all. I mean, it looks beautiful. The front gate is starting to get whittled down, and our right side seems more vulnerable than the left, right? So we're going to spend a little bit more time tending to that, but really everywhere is busy, right? Look at this shit. They're pouring in here. It's a lot of enemy troops, and they're still high level, too. Like a mother with 5 kids with special needs, right? I feel busier than a one-legged mother in an ass-kicking contest. We're kind of busy here. Now, these archers are still raking, and very few of them have arrows in them, right? At this stage, they're just a free lunch, right? They're racking up kills. It looks great, and I feel terrific about the left side of the city. Usually in Keep Siege, one of the areas starts to break down. In fact, I don't even remember what I did with the first division here. This is a function of exceeding the chain of command, right? It looks like I was pulling them. I think I fat-fingered that, pulled them in the wrong direction. A lot of the guys have already heard it before, but we'll spend 30 seconds on it. In the fire service as a full-time firefighter, 30 years now doing it, and the military, I learned all about what's called the chain of command. This is essentially a mental process or a philosophy about mental processes where Sir Ian Hamilton, an English, I think he was a commander or a captain or something like that, who also had some medical experience, studied commanders, studied warfare, and determined most people can adequately and I guess we'll say intelligently command between 3 and 7 divisions and do it well, right? In other words, if you were a captain, maybe they would assign you 5 smaller divisions, with sergeants that were in charge of each of those divisions, and presumably those sergeants would also be in charge of 3 to 7 people. Although a lot of times platoons have many captains and, tens or hundreds of guys in a platoon or in a division. I'm actually not anywhere close to an expert of the division system. I know there's divisions and brigades and all the different shit. I don't know all that stuff well. I do know, though, that the chain of command and the span of control, more accurately, basically has illustrated that most people cannot command consistently well more than 5, 6, 7 divisions. So when you start getting 8 divisions like I constantly run, you're bound to have problems from time to time. You're going to forget a division. You'll forget guys that are on fire at will. You're going to miss stuff. And if you're learning Bannerlord and it's hard for you, start with 4, start with 5, right? Don't go straight to 8 or 9. I've used the juggling analogy before. You're not going to start by juggling 10, 12 balls, right? There's a guy on YouTube that can juggle 12 fucking balls. That's unbelievably difficult, right? It's basically a world record. Nobody starts with 12, right? So don't think that you have to emulate what we're doing on the channel. Micromanage a division or 2, right? As you see a few more units from our side campaign. They're called like Desert Raiders or some shit. Really cool mod. Anyways, you're going to be just fine with 5 divisions. You can still do tactics, but make sure you can command well first, right? Then move up the chart. And of course, that's what I've done, right? I didn't start with 8 divisions. Fuck no. I could barely ride around on my little pathetic horse and not get killed by looters. This is a very, very difficult game, and it takes a lot of gameplay to get to this comfort level. Things look good here, but it's still messy. I still hear combat and carnage, so I might monitor the main gate here for a little bit. We've still got a bunch of troops, and this attack dog division is working, right? Just bringing them up when there's a crisis, resetting them so they can shoot when there's not. We're going to tear some limbs, one of my favorite sayings in the game. It should be, I'll smash your limbs to pieces here, as Hugh the Hammer just lays waste to these mid-tier troops. Do a few movements of units as we pulverize these guys beating on our square. And in this case, I'm the shock troop division, right? I don't need help. You can just have the square, hold the line there, and Hugh the Hammer just crush everything that's still moving. That 6th division is so-so, right? Most of the guys can't shoot. I bet the guys in the back have never shot a single round. There's just not a good spot to defend the courtyard here. This front gate especially is mediocre. I don't know where you jagoffs are going, right? Where are you going, jagoff? Ooh, it just sounds like it hurts. And I can't even imagine. All of us have like smashed a finger in a Carter or something like that. Try a sharpened wooden javelin chucked by an expert athlete right into your jugular. It's probably the sound you would make. You know, you would instantly be aware that death is imminent. Not to mention you can't breathe, and there's a warm fucking venous blood trickling down your fucking chest. Thank God we got video games and we don't have to do this shit in real life. This is, by the way, the reason that a lot of battles, most battles, like I've studied hundreds of battles to get to this stage of tactical understanding, and I'm a student of war history. Literally hundreds, right? It gets kind of, it's an obsession, right? Whether it's Gettysburg or the Battle of Kenai or all of the battles, Napoleon, you know, I can name them almost in chronological order, right? Jena Auerstadt, and of course I'd be going backwards if I said Austerlitz. Anyways, when you study it, what you notice consistently is that casualties are a lot lower than most of us tend to think. It's a little bit like the fire department. People just kind of assume that if their house catches on fire, that we instantly are willing to risk everything to save their computer and just rush in. If your kid is in the top story of a house, I'm sending my crew in, right? I'm in charge sometimes of a crew. We're going in to save your kid. If you're in the top story and you're visible, we're going in. But if your house is an inferno and you tell me the dog is in the living room, I'm going to tell you, well, there's a pet store 2 blocks away. Right? You guys can have a nice funeral because your dog is dead. We're not going to go in. And it's basically learning from hundreds of years of case studies that, you know, when we rush in, we get mauled and they're trying to save a computer or a dog or something like that. Sometimes the building is unoccupied and we lose 5, 6, 7 firefighters. It's just not something we do anymore. So what was all that? Oh, I was getting to casualties, right? The fire service no longer really accepts massive casualties as part of the job. We still die. Line of service deaths of firefighters, it's not like they've gone away. Damn it, that's not what I wanted you guys to do. Hold on, hold the narration here. Let me stretch this 5th out. Come on, boys. Cooperate with me. Little green dots, do what I tell you. I hear yelling and screaming at the gate. It makes me nervous. So let's head that direction. But casualties in battle, just like the fire service, and it's human nature. It makes sense, right? When you had huge battles, I looked up some of the battles of the Japanese warfare, right? Because of the Shokuho. I think it's the Japanese mod that's coming up. Should be out soon, in fact. That era, I looked up some of the battles, and there's a couple battles where there were, it was supposedly a big deal, big bloody battle, and there were 10% casualties for one of the sides and like 12% for the other one. Now, I want to point out another part of that too. Most of the time, when they refer to as casualties, okay, just barely got that in. Most of the time, when historical records of battles include casualties, they're not counting, they're also counting the injured. So 12%, what that means, if you can look at it in the other way, is 80% or almost 90% of the people weren't even injured, right? They weren't killed or injured. That doesn't seem like a massacre to me. Think about the Bannerlord battle. You get 90% injured or casualty. Well, that's almost never a thing in actual history. So it's kind of, I don't know, there's your little historical narration for this episode. There's definitely, I think so. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's Hollywood. Now, I think they just routed. I heard a big rumble. I think someone blew up the siege tower somehow. Maybe just thousands of fire arrows finally caught it on fire. And victory here. And unfortunately, we didn't get reinforcements. I was hoping we would get just tons of other units pouring in, other Khazate, maybe even Northern Empire. There's sturgeons to the north of us, but no such luck here. The enemy flees. And relative to some of our other sieges, this is kind of tame. So, I get a little feeling in my stomach like, well, maybe I'll just delete this last half hour. But you guys love Epic Siege, and of course, the algorithm decides everything, right? If you guys watch to this point and you enjoy and you hit the like button and leave comments and all that shit, you must have liked it, right? Although, of course, you might have just been, might have got the same feeling I got when they all fled, hoping for a little bit more intense siege, and you don't always get it. Now, what the fuck is this? 4,400. I guess that's the prisoners that are left? That's a wild-looking number there. And we'll take them, right? We just lost a bunch of troops. This 400 series, this one's going to be kind of a bonus. It's out of order. In fact, I don't even know what number I'm going to give it. It doesn't really matter. Here's one of those desert maulers, by the way. They look badass with a wolf's head. They have hardly any armor, but they have good stats, just for those curious. If you want to check out more about them, check out the Aserai Peasants Revolt. What was I saying? So we need these troops for the next challenge, right? There's Northern Empire forces nearby. They just took Vostrum. The Sturgeons were up north. So we're going to be able to find more episodes for this series. And frankly, you guys are deciding whether or not I make these, right? If you guys enjoy these, I'll make more. That's just simply how it is, right? If a restaurant sells out of its secret chipotle sauce, they fucking make more. And that's what we're doing here, right? YouTube is a demand mechanism, just like anything else in life. All right, well, a little bit of an anticlimactic finish, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. Hopefully you enjoyed an epic siege here of Huss and Folk, and this series continues. Here's your chance to subscribe, hit notifications, that way you know when the next episode comes out. Leave any comments, criticisms, requests. I'll try to get to them. And with all that said, friends, I will see you fellas and ladies next time.